Hey guys, what is going on? My name is Fen, and today I'm going to be doing a walk by tank video. I'm basically going to explain what I'm doing throughout this video so you guys kind of understand my thought process. So the first thing I'm doing is I'm going to pull a lot of mobs. The reason I'm pulling a lot of mobs is because I want to test my group. I want to see if the healer is capable, if the DPS is capable. Once I understand my group's position, I can then, throughout the rest of the dungeon, determine how I'm actually going to act through the dungeon, where I'm going to take it a little bit slower because the healer's new, or not pull as many because it's just going to burn the healer's mana if the DPS isn't high enough. So I've got to basically play it careful and basically use the first pull as the test. If I die, it's just the first pull, it doesn't really matter. We're at the beginning of the dungeon anyway, so if we do completely wipe, then it's not such a big problem. So this dungeon is a really good dungeon. I like it because it brings a lot of challenges to the tank. One of them being the smoke bomb on the floor. It's very dangerous. There's a lot of AoE going around. You've got to dodge it all and whatnot. And the mantrids here do a lot of damage, especially the big heavy ones, which you see there throwing a bomb right now. And you just got to be careful because they do like a blade flurry, which does a lot of damage. We've got mobs that are actually just going to other targets. Even though I have 100% threat on them targets, they're still attacking other people because they're fixated on them people. Which is really nice. As you can see here, I will taunt with a death grip, but he doesn't come back to me. That's because he's fixated on the monk, so we just bring him down pretty easy. So we are coming on to the first boss here. This boss is relatively easy. He just does a lot of AoE, a lot of bombs on the floor that you've got to basically avoid. Although if your healer is good enough, you don't even have to avoid them. They don't do that much damage, but if you can avoid damage, then just avoid it. The boss will also put a bomb on someone which acts like a bomb on the floor, except it basically comes from that person. And the bombs go in a north, east, southwest direction, much like Bomberman, if you've ever played that game. Awesome game. And that's pretty much it. The boss is very, very simple. He's not that difficult. The healing intensity is very low. It's a face roll, basically. And if you've got insane DPS like we have in this group, which I was fortunate enough to get, the bosses go down extremely fast. As you can see, I'm not taking that much damage. I haven't popped any cooldowns because they are not needed. Blood Strike keeps me up enough as it is. I did pop Anti-Magic Shell here just to mitigate some of that damage. And then we can continue without the healer having to heal me. So we're going on to the next boss now. Now the next part here is one of the places where some tanks may die. The reason for that is because... oh, I need a drink. The reason for that is because the mobs here actually do several abilities. They do a Wind Blast, which is nature damage. So if tanks are generally weak against nature damage because we don't have a lot of magic resistance, you know, I could use Anti-Magic Shell, but it's already on cooldown. They also do a smoke bomb effect, which of course you can't be healed when you are standing in it. So if you stay in that, you won't get healed, and if you're taking a lot of damage, you could die quite easily. So keep that in mind to make sure you move out of that for your healer. Your healer could of course come close to you, but then he's going to take unnecessary damage from the Wind Blast. So it's best just for you as a tank to move out. So we're heading over here now to the next part of the dungeon, and there's some mobs here fighting the NPCs. Now what you'll see is I think it's a shaman. He will run past and he will actually aggro these mobs. As you saw, the plates change to yellow. So I picked the mobs up immediately. The reason for that is because I'm not sure if these mobs are going to come later on because they've already been aggroed. If they will come when we're fighting another boss or some trash or something like that. So I thought it would be safer just to pick up these mobs straight away and just kill them off. That way we can actually just progress through the dungeon without having any thoughts of any other mobs actually coming back to bite us in the ass. So the next mobs are pretty much just like all the other trash. Hard hitting mobs, of course. There's two of them here with a small one which will do the Wind Blasts. So just be careful and obviously stay out the smoke bomb. He does die first, which is great because he is quite annoying with the smoke bomb. As you can see here, I'm taking a lot of damage. because these two big guys are actually enraged and they're actually going to start doing a lot more damage. But the healer is very good. He keeps me topped up all the time, even with the debuffs on, armor reduced, all that kind of jazz. It's just great. As you can see here, I've whispered myself to make sure I put Horn of Winter back up. I'm going to talk about this in another video, but it just makes it so much easier as a reminder, because I always forget. I always forget to put my buffs up. I've only got one, but you know, I just forget because it's attack power. It doesn't really mean much to me. I'm a tank. I'm not really there to do damage. That's the DPS's role, but we do a lot of damage anyways. So this boss is, again, pretty easy. He will basically go from one corner of the room to another, doing fire on the floor. It's very easy to dodge. The boss can do a lot of damage, a lot of melee damage. He also does acid puddles on the floor. And as you can see here, the boss will go from one side to the other. The DPS follow him, and they all get caught in the fire. And then it makes it harder for me to actually pick up the ads. As you see, I do have aggro on him, but I will lose aggro because I'm trying to move the mobs before the boss actually does the AoE. As you can see here, I'm going to move into where the fire has dissipated first, and that will allow me to avoid all the damage from the fire on the floor. I'm not too bothered about the ads attacking the DPS because they don't do particularly that much damage. So if a DPS does stand in the fire and they take aggro and my taunts are on cooldown, then I'm not going to waste them just to taunt them. They can easily kill them. It's not such a big deal. As you can see, he's going to do another strafing run, which is the fire. He's going to drop some more ads. I'm going to pick all these up with a taunt and a blood boil just to get them all and pull them out, and then I'm going to put down a Death and Decay just to keep the aggro because I'm looking at the boss. I don't want to get caught in the fire, so I'm just looking at where he is. The fire has started to dissipate, so I'm going to head to that direction, and the ads will follow because I do have enough threat on them that the DPS, even nuking them, still can't pull threat, which is great. It's really nice, and here the boss will actually go down. He does do an ability which is called Praying Time, or Pray Time, however you want to say it. And it's, again, it just picks someone up. It's not particularly hard. I mean, none of the heroics are actually hard. They're all pretty damn easy, in my opinion. Me, the priest, and the paladin, which I believe are pre-made, and the paladin and the priest are basically two friends, I believe, doing the dungeon. And they're both, you know, farming heroics, I think they were. And I'm going down with them to click the bell, I think it is, or set the fire on fire. I don't know what it is. I think it's a signal fire, so you just got to light it. And here I was actually going to sit through this scene because I haven't seen it, but then I thought I'm a tank, so I actually need to be there ASAP to start pulling, and that's exactly what I did. As soon as I came out, I pulled. I was going to use Death and Decay there, but I thought I would actually pick everybody up first and then use it. As you saw, I did lose aggro off one of them, but they didn't do that much damage to the DPS, and I managed to pick them all up. So I'm going to use my number 6 here, which is Remorseless Winter. It is pretty much a cooldown. If the mobs are stunned, you take no damage. So it's just as effective as popping a cooldown, which I also did pop. I popped my Icebound Fortitude because I was taking a ton of damage from these guys. And I knew if I didn't pop a cooldown, I probably would die unless the healer popped his cooldown. But it's better for the healer to save his and for me to actually pop mine. So this boss, again, is very easy. You just pick up the ads. He will do a big, massive slice and dice, which is this ability here, Frenzied Assault. And just let him kill the ads, that's it. Just stay out of it. He will do a puddle on the floor, which will reduce damage by 50%. The reason I left him in here is because I thought, well, if it just reduces my damage, that's fine, but it actually also reduced the boss's damage by 50%, so people would be doing 50% less damage. So I did move him out, and that's it, the boss is dead. The DPS in this group was insane. The priest and the paladin were doing insane DPS. The shaman was doing pretty good DPS. I have no idea what I was doing in terms of DPS, but I mean, it must have been okay. So we're going on to the last boss now. Pretty easy again. We're just going to jump down here, which is the shortcut. Normally you would jump down and then follow the monks as they go down, but I decided, well, we all decided to just jump down here, and I almost died. Oh my god. Aside with like 21k HP, I literally babbed my pants. So it would have been embarrassing to die from that. But anyways, we're on the last boss now, which is, you don't even need a tank for this boss. So I probably recommend going DPS if you have a DPS off spec. The mobs that you tank, like these, are very, very easy. They hardly do any damage. And depending on what your DPS is, will determine how far you have to go in this phase. It'll start off with a big guy like this, then some smaller guys, then some flying bees and stuff around that you've got to avoid. And then it'll start putting up tornadoes. So depending on how far you go will determine how many of these mechanics you will basically face. Now, because we had such great DPS, we only encountered the first two, which is a big guy and then a small pack of small little mantrids, I think they're called, which was pretty easy. It was really, really easy to beat these. And then as soon as the boss, I think it's his shell, has been broken, I mean, that's it. He will basically fix it on random people. You just kite him. You don't even have to tank him. And then that's it. So, very, very easy boss. A little bit of a disappointment in some respects. As you saw here, I did taunt him just to make sure I got some aggro before he started rampaging on other people. And that's it. So, guys, I hope you enjoyed this episode. It was a really nice way of just looking at the dungeon and going through my process through the dungeon. And it was just, I think it was pretty cool. And the dungeons themselves are pretty easy, so if you've got really bad gear, don't be afraid to go in and just try. You'll be surprised how easy they actually are. I just want to say a big thanks to the people in my group as well. They made the video really good and they did insane DPS, so thank you to them. And thank you to you guys for watching. Hope you enjoyed, and I'll catch you next time. Peace.